He was able to pull it off at the end and win the fight, but it should have been a lot closer.
For Ulysses Boulware now, it's, I guess, back to the drawing board where he is to start working on some things. First, we'll start with you, Evander Holyfield. Do you see things there which can make Boulware a champion?
Sure, a fight like that build character, build determination. This guy knows that the fight wasn't easy, so the next level competition, and he would be more comfortable with it.
Mark Breland, let's take a look at some replays from that last round again, and we'll see Boulware pushing it on.
Right here, he's just throwing his jab, throwing a lot of right hands, like he should have been doing in the first round, jabbing and coming off with the right hand, but wasn't throwing enough punches in the first few rounds.
Mark, if you were in the corner of Ulysses Boulware and you were going back to training camp now with him, back to the gym, what would you try to work on with him?
Well, make him throw more jabs, stiff jabs. He wasn't throwing hard enough jabs, and follow with the right hand, left hook.
All right, Evander Holyfield, before we let you get out of here, April 19th in Atlantic City, you take on George Foreman. Of course, on October 25th at the Mirage, you beat Buster Douglas in 3 rounds. What are you looking for in that fight against Foreman? What are you going into that fight thinking in your mind?
Well, I know that I had to go out and fight the best fight that fought in my life. I have to have my speed down. I have to use my jab and use it well, and not get trapped up in going toe-to-toe with the man so early.
I got to ask you one question, because we're about the same age. What is it like going into the ring against a guy that you watched on television when you were a kid?
Well, I feel that once you get in the ring, age is not an age barrier, and I feel that you go in there, it's time to war. If I was fighting my brother, I'd go in there and war with him, and you know George Foreman is no kid to me, and you know what's going to happen.
Mark Brilliant, I know you have a question for your friend.
So, Evander, I have a question for you. All right, Mike Tyson won the title, right? After he won the title, he started getting a spot in his head. You won the title. I can't talk about Big George because that's all going. You won the title. Now you're starting to lose hair. What is it? Is it a hair thing? Is it a title? Is it a heavyweight thing?
I think it's a heavyweight thing.
Oh, okay.
I won the title the next day. I woke up, my hair was still on the pillow.
Wow, Mark, you've got guts. I'm glad you asked him that question. Evander Holyfield,
I'm close to the right hand. I'm standing right hand.
That's right. Evander Holyfield, best of luck in April against George Foreman.
Well, thank you.
Evander Holyfield joining us here in Houston, Texas. Title hopeful, standing by in his dressing room. Jesse James Leija, he squares off in our main event against Mark Fernandez. Up next on Sports Channel America. We're on Sports Channel America live from Houston, Texas at the Holiday Inn at the Hobby Airport. Bob Papa along with former champion Mark Breland and current champion Evander Holyfield. What a first bout of the night. Ulysses Boulware against Roland Williams, and Boulware comes up with a unanimous decision. He's standing by with our own Mark Breland. Mark?
Congratulations, Ulysses Boulware. How did you feel tonight going into the fight?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank God for giving me the victory. And also, going into the fight, we thought the guy was going to be come to me. And it took me a while to adapt to his, moving around style and everything. So that's what the whole holdup was, Me coming accustomed to it. My trainer kept telling me to put the pressure on him. So eventually I was adding on and on and on. And 10 rounds, the first time going 10 rounds, it felt pretty good.
Well, you didn't look bad. You looked very frustrated in there, say about the first 5 rounds. After that, you started to come off with better punches.
Yeah, the guy, I thought he was going to come straight at me, or whatever, so I could box. And he didn't. So I'm trying to catch him, and I'm lunging and all this stuff, The guy had me real frustrated. But my trainer had me calm down, and get myself together, and I picked it up from there.
Well, you won the fight, which was great, but what were the difficulties in the fight?
His experience. His experience paid off a lot. He was covering up pretty good, and I wasn't executing my shots as we had planned on, and it's all about learning, It's all about learning. As we move up in the experience and stuff, I'm going to learn a lot more and everything. This is a 10-round fight against a good, tougher guy I've been in there with, so that played a lot too,
Okay. Well, anyway, saying like in the 8th round, it was a very good round for you in the 8th round. You thought that you had him in the 8th round?
Yeah, at one time I did. And then I started thinking too much.
See, right here on the monitor, you were throwing a lot of punches and you kept going at him. He kept leaning back and running. I noticed from the first round he would run, then some rounds he would stop, and sometimes he would run. But right here, you started throwing a lot of punches. I thought you was going to take him out, but like you said, he was a very experienced fighter.
Yeah, he was just holding there waiting for me, and I'm trying to get the punch right. I'm thinking too much, trying to get the right punch in there, which I should have just let my hands go.
But anyway, you won the fight, which was good. And I thought you won the fight. I didn't think it was two judges had a 9-2. I didn't think it was that, but
I think it was a pretty close fight.
It was a very close fight. But anyway, congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
And good luck in your career.
Thanks.
And I'd like to say back to Bob.
All right, thank you very much, Mark Breland and Ulysses Boulware from Houston, Texas. Boulware, a unanimous decision as he comes up with the victory. We have Jesse James Leija next on tap. We now pause for James Leija against Mark Fernandez in tonight's featured bout on Sports Scream's Pro Boxing Tour on Sports Channel America. 10 rounds in the featherweight division. Both fighters still in their respective dressing rooms as they make their way to the ring here in Houston, Texas. Bob Papa along with Mark Breland. Glad you can join us. If you joined us a little bit late, Ulysses Boulware wins a unanimous decision over Roland Williams as Boulware gets his 16th professional victory. And right now, Mark Fernandez out of Denver, Colorado comes to the ring. And he took this fight on very short notice, Mark Breland. And what does that do for Fernandez? He was a sparring partner for Pernell Whitaker, and now he finds himself fighting in a main event.
Well, sparring with a guy like Whitaker get you in great shape. And to come out here, really, he should be in shape. He should have no problem being in shape.
He has not fought in the ring since September 2nd of last year. Won a 10-round decision in Colorado over Marino Ramirez. He has won 3 in a row, 2 by knockout. 28 years of age, an amateur record of 74-8, a Denver Golden Gloves champion. Earlier today, I spoke with Mark Fernandez as he tried to get mentally prepared for tonight's fight, and I asked him about what he's been doing and where he's heading.
Well, I've been with Pernell Whitaker camp, and for the last 5 weeks, I've been training very hard for this fight, for a fight in particular, and just so happened I'm getting my chance tonight in Houston.
You're fighting Jesse James Leija. What does this fight mean for your career?
Well, to me, this is a world title match as far as I'm concerned, and Leija is just one more fighter that's in my way to a world title.
For people who aren't familiar with your style, what should they expect to see from you?
Well, I'm a boxer puncher, and I'm not afraid to mix it up, so depends on the first round, you know, what James wants to do. Does he want to make it a fight, or does he want to see how I see my style, and then we'll take it from there? It all depends on James Leija.
And there is James Leija. Fernandez feels that tonight's fight will dictate what Leija will do, and he is relaxed and in the ring, and he has lots of other things on his mind as well. His wife is expecting their first child. She is back in his hometown of San Antonio, some 190 miles away. Leija with 3 first-round knockouts. 62.5% of his fights have ended in knockouts. And earlier today, Mark Breland spoke with James Leija, and he asked him about a vast array of topics, including the fact of taking this fight on short notice.
I was scheduled to fight for a fight. I didn't believe it was going to come as quick as it did, but I was training and doing my running and everything, so I'm in shape.
Your wife is getting ready to give birth. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's on my mind constantly. I just have to, during the fight, I just have to think about the fight, and then after the fight's over, worry about that.
Okay, Mark Fernandez, what do you know about him?
I know nothing about except his record and that he likes to switch from lefty to righty. That's all I know about him.
So do you think that would be a very awkward fight tonight?
I think so. I think me not knowing anything about him switching from lefty to righty would be awkward. I think I'll just have to worry about how to fight him during the fight.
24-year-old James Leija out of San Antonio, Texas. And it is time for the tale of the tape. It's brought to you by Schlitz Malt Liquor. Just say bull. Here are the key numbers for tonight's main event. Fernandez, 2 inches taller, 5'7" to 5'5". Leija, 1 pound heavier, 130 pounds to 129. Reach advantage by 3 inches in favor of Fernandez. Leija, the younger fighter, at 24. Fernandez at 28. Those are the critical numbers for tonight's main event. As Mark Fernandez loosens up in his corner, we are just moments away from the opening bell. And our formal introductions. Here is our ring announcer, Gordon Woods.
Thank you, Bob Papa and Mark Breland. Sport Cream main event continues on Sport Channel America, scheduled for 10 rounds in the featherweight division. In the ring at this time, the man in charge of tonight's main event, ladies and gentlemen, referee Barry Yates. And now, my good friends, introducing the principals first. Boxing to my left, out of the blue corner, red corner, excuse me. This young man wearing the solid black trunks weighed in this morning at 129 pounds. With a fine pro career, 25 wins, 7 defeats, 1 draw with 13 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Mile High City, let's hear it for Denver's own Mark King Cobra Fernandez. And his opponent, boxing to my right, out of the blue corner, this young man from the Alamo City of San Antonio, Texas, undefeated as a professional, 16 straight wins, 1 draw, 10 of those 16 wins coming by knockout. He too wearing the black trunks with gold trim. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Jesse James Leija. 10 rounds of boxing in the featherweight division. Your referee is Barry Yates.
Well, we mentioned Jesse James Leija is a very focused young man, and he showed it right there in the traditional pre-fight stare down. He is ready to take care of business, Mark Breland.
Oh yeah, he looks very focused. I think he's pretty much ready for the fight.
And we begin round number 1 of this scheduled 10-round fight. Fernandez fighting from the southpaw side. Leija in his first 7 pro fights fought southpaw, so he has been able to figure them out. Although, as Mark, you have said and he has said, all southpaws are a little bit different.
Yeah, they're very awkward, coming from the other position.
Leija's father, Jesse Leija, is in his corner. He is his trainer. One of the few father-son combinations that seems to work. We have done now 11 of Leija's fights here on Sports Channel America, and a very controlled corner, and Mr. Leija takes a very laid-back role in his son's career.
Yeah, like we spoke to him earlier about that. He says his father doesn't bother him at all.
In fact, his father, when asked, says he'd rather see his son not boxing. James Leija picked up boxing at the age of 19. He has Jesse James Leija, not necessarily because of the flamboyance of that name. He's taken Jesse in honor of his father. His father's name is Jesse Leija.
And now Fernandez is using a jab. He's trying to establish a jab just to set him up right now to get comfortable.
We talked a lot about Leija taking this fight on short notice, but so has Fernandez, so I guess it kind of evens out.
Oh yeah, very much.
Midway point of this first round. Leija to the left of your screen, Fernandez to the right.
Fernandez reminds me a lot of Paul Gonzalez.
In what way?
He's tall, thin, and can box. And he has features, his face is sort of like Paul Gonzalez. I think that's what Leija has to do, is just put a lot of pressure on.
Well, Leija took this fight on very short notice, decided late Wednesday night he would take this fight, and he feels he is not in the shape that he normally is, that we've seen him in before, and he feels he has to maybe put the pressure on earlier than he normally would.
Yeah, I had asked him about conditioning earlier. He said there's no problem because he didn't feel it in one of his last fights. He said he didn't think he can go past 7 rounds, and he went past 7 rounds and he felt great.
We now pause for a regional break. Leija and Fernandez come to the end of round number 1 on Sports Channel America. And we welcome you back to Houston, Texas. Bob Papa along with Mark Breland. We begin round number 2 of this scheduled 10-round featherweight bout between Jesse James Leija in the solid black trunks with Leija across the waist, and Mark Fernandez in the solid black, the southpaw with Cobra across the waist.
I was listening in on Leija's corner. Kenny Weldon, his corner man, was telling him to move to your left, because he's not putting much pressure on you. Just move to your left and throw a lot of punches.
And now Leija is fighting as a southpaw. And we have seen him do this on some rare occasions, but really not all that often. Why would the fighter do that?
Well, they switch up to try to offset you, confuse you a little bit. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't.
Leija now back to the conventional stance. Minute gone by here in the second round.
Well, what Mark Fernandez is doing right now is using a good jab, boxing from the outside.
As we mentioned, Mark Fernandez has spent the past 5 weeks sparring with Pernell Whitaker, Eddie Hobson, Romelis Ellis. So conditioning is not a problem for him.
Oh, no, definitely not. You can't get no better sparring than Pernell Whitaker.
The main event stable of Lou Duva, Georgie Benton, and Ronnie Shields were very impressed with Fernandez's work habits as well.
Fernandez is very shifty. You know, he's a pretty good craftsman. He's throwing good jabs to the head. He's throwing a left hand straight left to the body and coming back with a right hook. He's pretty crafty. He uses his jab very well.
Let's see what Leija can do with that style. We've seen Leija get off to some slow starts in the past, and it seems with just 1 or 2 combinations he can swing a fight immediately in his favor.
Before Leija comes in, he dips down. And once he dips down, Mark jabs and uses a good jab and steps back. So it cuts the distance off.
Well, there's Fernandez scoring after slipping a punch.
Right there, the right jab to the head, left hand to the body, and right hook. What Jesse has to do is put pressure on him. He's not putting enough pressure on right now.
Time remaining in round number 2. Scheduled for 10. Mark Fernandez and Jesse James Leija from Houston, Texas. Back with the third round after this.
Action right here. Mark throws a straight right hand, left hand to the body, and right hook.
That's the most effective punches of round number 2. We begin round number 3. James Leija out of San Antonio. On the left of your screen, Mark Fernandez, the southpaw to the right.
Mark Fernandez is throwing very good punches. He's throwing good jabs. He's keeping them on the outside. Leija has to move in and has to be a little bit more aggressive. He's not aggressive enough right now.
Fernandez married with 2 daughters and a son. Works and lives in Denver. Likes to spend his time fishing, and right now he's trying to fish out a victory against Leija.
What Fernandez is doing, he's jabbing and stepping back, jabbing, stepping back. He's giving himself much more room to use the jab, because Leija is just walking right in.
Leija sometimes likes to throw a left hook and follow it up with a right uppercut. Let's see if he tries that.
But when he throws the left hook, Mark Fernandez goes all the way under the left hook, but goes all the way to the right. So when the right uppercut comes, it's gone.
It's past the midway point of this third round. Not the usual fireworks that we've seen in Leija's past fights, but they say styles make fights.
It's right. The styles does make the fight. I think if Leija would just move in more, just throw a little bit more punches and get comfortable. He's not comfortable right now. He seems pretty tight.
Which should Leija do as well to try to get inside when he's fighting a man who's taller with a reach advantage?
Well, use his own jab. He's not jabbing enough. He's just trying to sit in and trying to catch him with 1 or 2 punches. He's not jabbing enough. I think what he should do is try to jab his own way in.
Right hand by Fernandez got in. Leija trying to egg Fernandez on and get him into a little bit more of a slugfest.
Fernandez is doing a great job of boxing.
We'll hit the final seconds of round number 3. Houston, as Sports Screen presents the Pro Boxing Tour, and Fernandez is knocked down, and the referee is counting it as a knockdown.
I thought it was more of a slip.
Well, referee Barry Yates is giving the count.
Well, listening to the corner of Leija, Kenny Weldon was saying fake him a little bit more. And once he fakes him, he moves him out of position. So fake him and then come in throwing punches.
Fernandez still able to duck out of trouble. Here's Leija is trying to step the pace up of this fight a little bit.
What Fernandez needs to do is use his jab, and when Leija comes in, push him off, and just use his jab, push him off to get his own distance.
Leija is very focused and very patient. I wonder how much longer it's going to take for him to get frustrated.
Right now, he looks very calm, but he's just not throwing enough punches.
Leija scored with a right inside there.
I think Fernandez's mistake would be to try to punch with Leija. He's doing a great job right now in the boxing. He should stick with the boxing and try not to slug with him.
13 of Fernandez's 25 wins have been knockouts, 52%.
That was a good combination by Fernandez. Leija needs to pick up the pace now. He's just laid back too much right now. He needs to pick the pace up.
And Fernandez making him miss. Don't forget, Fernandez was ruled knocked down at the beginning of this round, and that will have an effect as far as the judges are concerned.
It was a good right uppercut by Leija. Right now, what Leija is doing is faking him and making him go into different positions. He's faked him out and doing right uppercut and caught him.
Final 10 seconds of round number 4. This one is scheduled for 10. Jesse James Leija against Mark Fernandez from Houston, Texas on Sports Channel America.
Beginning of the round, they came in throwing both of them throwing punches. I think right there, his foot, his legs got caught up and he just slipped. I thought it was a slip. I didn't think it was a knockdown.
But it was ruled a knockdown by the referee Barry Yates, and that will factor into the scoring. As we start round number 5 of this scheduled 10-round bout. Mark, how do you see it so far?
Well, I see it pretty even right now. The first round, I thought Leija won the first round. The second and third round, I thought Mark Fernandez won that round. Last round, I thought Leija won. In Fernandez's corner, Dan Kushner, his trainer, was telling him to throw more hooks this round. He needs to throw more hooks.
Well, it seems like Fernandez is now trying to press the action here in round number 5. We'll see how wise that is. I mentioned Leija started his career fighting southpaws and only southpaws. And right now, he looks a little bit confused.
Fernandez is putting more pressure on Leija this round.
This may be the best round so far for Mark Fernandez. He's past the midway point. Round number 5.
I think what Fernandez needs to do is use a real good stiff jab. Just keep using his jab and then throw punches up. You know, he'll catch good punches off his jab.
Leija led with a left uppercut, or a semblance of an uppercut. What is it like, Mark, if you were in Leija's position when you've been in the ring where you've expected to do something and you just, as the fight wears on, you just can't seem to get into the rhythm that you need?
And sometimes you're in that position. What you do is just fight. You just have to fight and just fight it out of yourself. Just go at him.
Leija going at Fernandez there with a couple of right hands backing up Fernandez.
Because you can only relax but so much.
Fernandez once again slipping punches.
Fernandez is very slick.
We come to the end of round number 5, the midway point of this one between Leija and Fernandez. We begin round number 6, and now we have a time, and now round 6 begins between Jesse James Leija and Mark Fernandez. And Leija, who took this fight on very short notice, did some things in between rounds that we're not used to seeing from him as he comes out throwing some right hands. He was concerned about where he was on the scorecard, what round it was. That's something we normally don't hear from him. Could that be fatigue, Mark?
Yes, that's fatigue, and just very confused. He's just confused right now. I think as the fight goes on, he'll loosen up more. Fernandez corner told him to just go out and stay busy. Just stay busy. Use the jab. Stay busy is what he should do.
Left hand from Fernandez. Leija answers back with the right. That's what he has to do. Swarm Fernandez. Combination by Leija scored.
Fernandez is just sitting right there, and so Leija can throw a lot of punches. If Fernandez uses his jab, stays away with his jab, it's hard for Leija to connect the punches.
Swelling around the right eye of Leija back at round number 5. Both fighters' heads came together at about the midway point of the round. There has been one knockdown. That was in round number 4. Questionable knockdown in which Fernandez hit the deck early in the round. Looks like Fernandez picked something up from Pernell Whitaker as far as being able to slip some punches.
Exactly. I mean, he looks like Pernell a little bit, yeah, slipping on left hooks. I think he should, talking about Leija, I think Leija should just go on and throw more punches. He's not throwing enough punches. He should use his jab more, come in and throw body shots. Right here, when Fernandez covers up, he should just throw a volley of punches right then. Because Fernandez is not giving him much to throw.
It's under 30 seconds to go in this 6th and final round. 6th round, scheduled for 10. Questioning the referee as we come to the end of round 6.
Don't get up. Let's go.
And an obviously tired Leija comes out of his corner as we get set for the start of round number 7. Mark, how do you see it?
Well, right now I see it. Fernandez is ahead on points right now. This is pretty close fight, but I feel Leija can pull it out if he comes off and start throwing more punches. He's not throwing enough punches. Looks like his timing is off a little bit.
You mentioned Leija took this fight on Wednesday evening. He had been preparing to fight. The only blemish on his record was a disheartening draw with Eddie Pee Wee Parker back on October 8th in San Antonio. Fight we did here on Sports Channel America, a fight in which we thought Leija clearly won.
Leija is leaning in, and Fernandez is easy for Fernandez to connect with a jab when Leija leans in.
Leija countered with a right hand, and I think he may have hurt Fernandez.
Yes, he did hurt Fernandez right there.
After Fernandez was doing the scoring.
He needs to keep pressure on Fernandez right now.
Fernandez comes back with some shots of his own.
Leija is just waiting too long. He's not throwing enough punches. Looks like he's waiting for one good shot.
He looks a little tired. Leija has been 10 rounds before. His last two fights.
Fernandez changing. He's changing up now. He's back to left. He's back to southpaw.
Obviously, it's causing Leija some trouble.
That's what I asked him earlier. You know, would that make him? You know, would that confuse him? He said just a little bit, but it seems like it's confusing him a lot tonight. Leija is waiting too long.
Leija wants to get this fight inside. Left hand by Fernandez.
Fernandez is a pretty quick fighter. He's got quick hands and quick ability just to get out of the way.
We come to the end of round number 7. This is a close one. Bob Papa and Mark Breland welcome you back to Houston, Texas, as Sports Screen presents the Pro Boxing Tour on Sports Channel America. We begin round number 8. Jesse James Leija against Mark Fernandez. In our opening bout of the evening, Ulysses Boulware wins a unanimous decision over Roland Williams in a very close fight. And we commented on it in that fight that near the end, when it was close, the medal of a true champion would be the one that would win, the guy who would find a way under adverse circumstances. You get the feeling that that's the way this fight will be decided?
Exactly. Both fighters are very good fighters, and they're hungry fighters. So it'll show at the end. It'll show at the end because both of them will be fatigued at the end, and I feel the outcome would be basically the same.
See Leija up by a point, winning a very close round number 7 that could really have gone either way, and should be interesting to see how the judges' scorecards look, but it seems that these last 3 rounds will definitely decide this fight.
Oh yeah, the last 3 rounds were great rounds. I feel if Leija would put more pressure on him as he did in the earlier rounds, the last 2 rounds, I think it would be an easier fight for him. Right here, this is where he needs to throw a lot of punches. It seems like Fernandez wants to fight inside now, and that's Leija's type of fight.
Fernandez appears to be the fresher of the fighters. I mentioned his extensive sparring work has been a factor. Able to get a left hand in there.
starting to get the rhythm now.
And down goes Fernandez from a right. And that is a knockdown. A fighter cannot be saved by the bell except in the final round.
Leija is starting to get his rhythm now. As I said before, the punches are starting to flow better.
We'll keep it right here. A right hand put down Fernandez, the second time he's been knocked down in this fight. Come to the end of round 8.
Right now, Leija was throwing a lot of punches, and right there, the right hand just comes knocks him down in the corner.
And we began round number 9. Leija and Fernandez. And that could have been a very big 2-point round for Leija with this fight being so close, Mark Breland.
Oh yeah, definitely, because I mean, he was so laid back early in the earlier round, but now he's, like I said, he got his rhythm now. He's starting to throw better punches and connecting more.
Well, Breland knocked Fernandez down in round number 4, but as our replay showed, it was more of a slip. In round number 8, it was a clear knockdown.
Oh, he caught him with a good right hand, round number 8.
In between rounds, Fernandez's corner said, hey, 2 rounds to go. Give me 6 minutes of hell.
Well, Leija knows the fight is close right now, so he knows he has to really pick up the pace and use good punches. He's more accurate than he was in the earlier rounds. He knows Leija knows he has to stay up on him and throw a lot of punches. Fernandez knows he has to use his jab and stay away.
Fernandez did score with a right hook before, but he has not used that all that often. Mark, you're still surprised that we're at this awkward pace, even this deep into the fight?
No, both fighters are very good fighters. I thought it would be a good pace. Usually at this weight, they always have a very fast pace.
Well, Fernandez was able to flip in a left hand. Pretty good round number 9 for Mark Fernandez.
Fernandez is boxing much better this round. Fernandez has a very good jab when he uses it.
Final 30 seconds of round 9. Leija just missed with that uppercut. Left by Fernandez scored. We now pause for a regional break. A very impressive round number 9 for Mark Fernandez. Back with the final round after this. We begin the 10th and final round. Leija and Fernandez do touch gloves to start this final round. A very close fight. Mark Breland, how do you see it?
Well, I see Leija is up, say, about a round, half a point. But he has to put a lot of pressure on this round. He has to win this round big.
And don't forget that round number 8. As you see Leija in the 10th round for only the 3rd time in his career. That round number 8, Leija knocked down Fernandez. Fernandez more experienced at this distance.
If you notice, both fighters look fresh right now. They come out just throwing a lot of punches.
Good left hand by Leija found the mark, but it did not buckle the legs of Fernandez. This one could go down to the last punch.
Fernandez has to use a good jab. He has to keep using his jab. And Leija has to come in and just throw punches.
Very Very dangerous when Leija backs up straight.
Yeah, Leija can't back up like that. He's getting hit too much when he backs up. He just got caught with a good left hand on the way back.
Leija trying to fight off the ropes. Scores with a combination of his own.
Leija did get the best of that exchange. And now he is.
And a right hand as well by Leija, trying to pour it on Mark Fernandez.
He hurt Fernandez just a little bit right there.
Fernandez trying to answer back. Well, these are two tough young fighters. Fernandez not that young at 28.
These two very determined fighters. This fighter put both fighters in a good position. So both of them going to really bring out all they have.
Well, we talked about the heart of a champion with you and Evander Holyfield in our last fight. It seems that Leija is taking control in this pivotal 10th and final round.
Oh yeah. Well, he knew he needed this round. He needed this round big, and he really came out and he just took it.
Swelling under the left eye of Leija and along the top of the right eye. That's the time remaining in the fight. Fernandez coming forward. Final 10 seconds of the bout. Leija and Fernandez. It has been a dandy.
Well, Fernandez is a very good boxer. He says he's a boxer puncher, and that he is.
And that is it. Both fighters raise their arms. James Leija and Mark Fernandez. They put in 10 very hard rounds. And Leija goes over to the corner of Fernandez to congratulate them. There is Mark Fernandez. He was viewing this one as his world championship. We'll find out who won after this time out on Sports Channel America. Won James Leija or Mark Fernandez. It was a close round, 10 grueling rounds. Leija took the fight on 3 days' notice. Fernandez, Pernell Whitaker's chief sparring partner, he took it on short notice. It was a war. Let's find out who won. Here is our ring announcer, Gordon Woods.
Boxing fans, after 10 main event rounds of boxing, I give you the scoring by judges as follows. Judge Lee McCowan, he scores about 96-92. Judge Bob Martin, he scores about 98-90. And Judge David McCullough, he scores about 99-90 for the winner by unanimous decision, Jesse James Leija.
Jesse James Leija, a unanimous decision, a lopsided decision, and you got a feel for Mark Fernandez, who looked in astonishment as they announced the numbers. He thought it would be a lot closer. Leija now 17-0-1 with 10 knockouts. He beats Mark Fernandez in a fight we thought was a little bit closer, although both Mark Breland and I thought that Leija was a winner. And Jesse James Leija is standing by right now with our own Mark Breland. Mark?
Well, I'd say congratulations. The fight seemed like you had a very slow start in the fight.
Well, yeah, I did. First of all, I'd like to say hi to everybody at Herman's in San Antonio, Guzman's in San Antonio. I want to say hi to my Aunt Belle and Aunt Leonard in Milwaukee. And I started off slow. Like I said, I only had about 2 weeks to get ready for this fight. So, yeah, I did start off slow, but I had to pick up. I was pacing myself early in the early rounds.
Okay, here comes the knockdown.
Is this the first or the second?
The first knockdown.
First knock. I'm not too sure if it was a clean shot, but oh yeah.
Okay, this was the 8th round knockdown.
Okay. Yeah, I caught him with the overhand right, I believe. There you go. Yep. Yeah, I was just, my corner was doing beautifully. They say just follow up in your punches, and he's going back, just keep following, and that's what I try to do.
Seemed like the timing was off, but you look good. I mean, you pulled the fight out, but it seemed like the timing was off. Was you in great shape or not?
No, I told you earlier I wasn't, and my timing was off. That's why I had to take my time and develop the rhythm during the fight.
All right, so what's next for you now?
I don't know. I'm going home to my lovely wife, Lisa. Let's have that baby soon.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
And back to Bob.
All right, thank you very much, Mark Breland. Jesse James Leija, unanimous.